Coming up on Rockland's News, the week ahead, Stephen Pappas appointed to executive chair for Catholic Charities of New York Community Services in Rockland County. Clarkstown also won multiple grants for taking care of local streets, as well as a study that is approved by the Fed. All this and much more on Rockland's News the week ahead. Let me first thank our sponsors and then get into the news. One moment, please. Got back from lunch and I was like, oh my goodness, I was supposed to be on the air. We're headed up that hill, ladies and gentlemen, headed right up that hill. Okay, thank you sponsors, Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, Easy Temp located in Hackensack, New Jersey, Kobe Sushi with music on Wednesdays and Saturday nights, Susan Bova, Coldwell Banker Realty, Lauren Molino Muller from Howard Hanna Rand Realty, Whole Shot Bagels, 99 Signs, FZ Perfection, Clean Space Maintenance Management Company, Rockland Music Festival Incorporated, and our new sponsors, the New York Boulders baseball team. Thank you guys for sponsoring Rockland's News all throughout the year, and also the New York Boulders were obviously the location for the 2025 Rockland's Music Fest. We'll get into that in a little while because we got some things in the hopper for 2026, but we don't want to put the cart before the horse. Let's get right into the news of the day. First of all, Stephen Pappas has been appointed Executive Director of CCCSR. Turn off the music for that. Executive Director effective February 6th, that's a Friday, following the retirement of longtime leader Dan Udine. The announcement signals a leadership shift for one of Rockland's key social service agencies. A Rockland native and current president and CEO of United Way of Rockland County, Pappas brings years of experience in both government and nonprofit sectors. Praised for his collaborative leadership and deep commitment to public service, Pappas was welcomed by CCCSR's board as the ideal figure to continue the agency's mission. Outgoing Director Dan Udine also in a prior press release expressed confidence in his successor, while Board Chair Joan Fassel thanked Udine for his legacy and celebrated the transition as a moment of growth for CCCSR. Just a little background on that organization. That's Catholic Charities Community Services of Rockland. They're an affiliate of the Archdiocese of New York, and they support thousands of Rockland families each year through its food pantry, as well as housing assistance programs and community garden. To learn more, please visit ccrockland.org. Rockland Congressman Mike Lawler is making headlines for stepping outside of party lines to defend crucial health care and child care funding. Representing New York's 17th District, Lawler has publicly denounced the expiration of the Affordable Care Act subsidies and the freeze on $10 billion in child care funds. And as many of you know, that freeze has been reversed over the weekend. Congress enacted an extension. So basically, Lawler was citing direct harm to Rockland families and the freeze on $10 billion in child care funds. He called the ACA support lapse, quote, unacceptable. Lawler joined a bipartisan effort to force a House vote on a 3-year extension, warning of surging insurance premiums for millions. He also criticized the child care funding freeze triggered by unrelated fraud probes. We won't get into the fraud probes on this show because it's outside of state or even Rockland, as, quote, unjustly punishing New York families. So just FYI on that. Lawler's advocacy signals a pragmatic shift in his own approach, prioritizing local needs over party alignment nationally. Quote, these are not abstract policy fights, close quote, he emphasized. They're, quote, kitchen table issues. For more on this developing story, stay tuned on rocklandsnews.com. In future weeks, we will have yet another interview with Congressman Mike Lawler, as well as several other elected officials across Rockland County. Typically, you can catch that on Tuesday afternoons at 3 o'clock, where we have government and local issues. Tomorrow's guest is going to be Town of Clarkstown Supervisor George Homan. On today's AM Rockland's News Spotlight interview this morning at approximately 10:30 a.m., North Rockland's own Joe Call, C-A-L-L, unpacked the long-term financial consequences of the Bowline Power Plant's tax grievance from many, many moons ago, which ultimately led to a $330 million settlement and a 30-year bond issued for the North Rockland Central School District. Call, who used to be a candidate running for North Rockland board, and I believe is running again this year. He highlighted how the loss of roughly $48 million in annual revenue now burdens local taxpayers, despite the plant's ability to earn millions per day on high demand days, even when they're idle. For more about that, check out the podcast that's going to be launched, and you can catch that at amrockland.com, or if you simply go to Rockland's News and click on the entertainment tab, click on the Rockland's News podcast, it'll take you right there. You can also subscribe to that on Spotify as well as Apple Podcast, and we load several interviews per week on there. So Joe emphasized the need for state-level reforms, pointing out that Bowline's situation mirrors others across New York, where municipalities lack leverage against powerful energy operators. Call called, no pun intended, on state lawmakers to address the broader issue of revenue fairness and ensure that host communities are not left to bear the cost. And again, you can catch that full interview on AM Rockland's News. The town of Clarkstown has secured $315,000 in federal funding from the U.S. Department of Transportation's Safe Streets and Roads for All, SS4A program, to launch a comprehensive townwide traffic safety study. The initiative, supported by Congressman Mike Lawler, he's everywhere, will develop a safety action plan aimed at reducing accidents and enhancing pedestrian and driver safety. The study will combine crash data analysis with extensive community engagement, including public workshops, advisory committees, and surveys across all 4 Clarkstown Council wards. For instance, Clarkstown Ward number 3, if I'm not mistaken, is Donald Franchino. Quotes Supervisor George Holm, and he said, "This is a major step forward for safety in Clarkstown. We thank Congressman Lawler for helping us make it possible." Planning officials are going to use a point-based system to prioritize projects, from signage improvements to long-term infrastructure upgrades. The study is expected to begin in the coming months, with residents encouraged to contribute input throughout the process. Additionally, and related to this, but not on the federal level, the town of Clarkstown also was awarded a $1,590,000 grant from New York State's Climate Smart Communities program to improve the sidewalk network in the Nanuet Transit-Oriented Development, otherwise known as the TOD zone. And the project will connect over 2,500 homes to schools, the Nanuet Public Library, and the train station, improving walkability and safety. Supervisor George Holman emphasized the importance of investing in infrastructure to support smart growth in Nanuet. And if you kind of connect the dots there, recall several weeks ago at a previous Four Corners protest, which notably I have to note that there was another protest this weekend, didn't have anything to do with anything related to Rockland, so we're not going to touch on that respectfully. But there obviously are continual protests that happen at that location. And several weeks ago, we had Clarkstown Ward 3 Don Franchino on the AM Rockland's News Wednesday show, advocating for safety barriers for the protesters. And we are noting that there's several different traffic programs that are coming about. So maybe we'll get those safety rails at some point, something that Mike, my co-host, and I were very interested in keeping the needle moving forward, because obviously safety first. Just in case you did not catch AM Rockland's this morning, and unfortunately my co-host Mike Kluger was unavailable, but we held it down with some news. I'm just going to review some of the news that happened that we reported on this morning in case we missed anything for the week ahead. First of all, countywide, a Rockland County grand jury has handed up 10 indictments following the 13th grand jury term of 2025, which ran from December 12th to January 5th. Charges include multiple counts of rape, weapons possession, burglary, DWI, and failure to register as a sex offender. District Attorney Thomas Walsh emphasized the office's commitment to pursuing justice swiftly and in line with state guidelines. And as always, defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Back in the town of Clarkstown, they kicked off 2026 with its annual swearing-in ceremony at Town Hall. Re-elected Supervisor George Holman was joined by council members John Valentino, Michael Graziano, Donald Franchino, and Bob Axelrod, who just by his name alone has a soft spot in my heart because I watched that show Billions. It's not the same Bob Axelrod, but there's a character in the show Billions. So I don't know. I feel like we have to interview him at some point and talk about what's going on in Clarkstown. Just an FYI. That's an open invite just because, we follow along with what's going on out there. Along with Highway Superintendent Bob Malone and Town Clerk Lauren Marie Wall. The ceremony featured music by the Clarkstown South High School Troubadours and invocations by local clergy. In Orangetown, Supervisor Teresa Kenny delivered her annual State of the Town address at the 2025 reorganization meeting for 2026, announcing Orangetown's continued fiscal excellence with a perfect 0.0 fiscal stress score. It sounds like a nice place to be. And the highest bond rating, AA2, in Rockland County. The town passed a budget under the 2% tax cap while maintaining a healthy $29.8 million fund balance. Also a nice place to be. Kenny emphasized the need to explore creative ways to ease tax burdens on those that don't have a $29.8 million fund balance in their accounts, which is most of us, including you listening, I'm guessing, and attract new businesses. Some of the key 2025 highlights and 2026 initiatives out of the town of Orangetown are as such. First of all, Orangetown acquired 6.2 acres of Hudson River waterfront at 149 to 157 Piermont Avenue in South Nyack for future passive park. I've never heard of an aggressive park, but there's going to be a passive park there. Legislation was passed to create a community preservation fund pending voter approval. The OMM Soccer Complex, otherwise known as OM, was renamed to honor Dennis Troy for his commitment to youth sports and public service. Community events included a successful food truck festival and charitable fundraisers such as the quote-unquote Dog Days of Summer. And some planned infrastructure upgrades in 2026 include new pedestrian safety improvements, traffic signals, as we mentioned, that's part of an initiative in the town of Clarkstown, and water stations along the rail trail. Orangetown is also planning a major celebration for the 250th anniversary of the United States, the July 4th Parade and Festival, led by the Orangetown USA 250 Celebration Committee. Turning our attention to the village of Nyack, Nyack launched a brand new downtown shopping and dining guide to help residents and visitors explore the village, featuring a whimsical artist-designed map by Sam Wedelich. I hope I'm saying that right. Wedelich. The guide divides Nyack's downtown into 5 distinct business districts: Main Street, Broadway, Sobro. Dude, you are so bro. Franklin Street and Upper Main. Each color-coded and offering unique experiences. And the guide includes a directory organized by business category, helping users quickly identify nearby restaurants, boutiques, and services. And updates to the guide will be released regularly to reflect new businesses and changes. Nyack has also unveiled a new downtown shopping. Oh, that's the same thing. Sorry, guys. Let's move into the village of Suffern. Mayor Curley has highlighted community events, local gems, and winter safety. Michael F. Curley extended warm winter wishes and encouraged residents to support local businesses and enjoy community events during the colder months. He reminded residents to dress warmly and make the most of Suffern's scenic winter beauty. Key community reminders and events: Mayor Curley spotlighted the historic Lafayette Theater, urging residents to support it and other local restaurants during the typically slow winter months. And if you haven't been to the Lafayette Theater, you should really check it out. It's approximately 1,000 seats in there. They have the mighty Wurlitzer Orchestra organ that very much resonates throughout the entire facility whenever it's played. They have classical movies over there. And in the past, they've also had concerts. I remember one concert approximately, I want to say like about 14 or 15 years ago. I was dating my ex-fiance at the time. Didn't work out. Kind of glad. But we went to see Bernie Williams perform over at the Lafayette Theater, along with approximately 7 or 8 musicians in his band. And I have to say, Bernie Williams really held it down that night. He's the kind of guitarist, is the previous Yankee player, by the way, center field, amazing. He was the kind of guitar player that wasn't a showboat. Obviously very, very talented. I mean, like, I could hear his notes and I was impressed, but he always handed it off to someone else. He just didn't care about the spotlight that much, which was really cool. So, hey, maybe one day we'll have Bernie back there or several other performers. There's some great music in Rockland County, and you can learn more about that over at Rockland's Music Fest. If you go on to Roku right now and you do a search on your streaming TV app for Rockland's Music Fest, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch all the performances that happened on September 27th of 2025, where we had 11 bands perform, including our headliner, Magical Mystery Doors. For more information on this, visit rocklandmusicfest.com. Back at the Suffern Village, Senior Valentine's Day luncheon is scheduled for February 13th at the Suffern Community Center from 12 to 2 p.m. This event is for Suffern seniors and will include food and dancing. Now, I'm noting that February 13th is the date for this, and it's from 12 to 2 in the afternoon. That's really a convenient, smart thing, because I guess the guys, they can meet with the ladies that go to this thing and like, hey, can I take you out to dinner? It starts at 5 o'clock. And then afterwards, they still have time to watch Matlock. Very smart move on these guys. I think it's a smart move, you know? And let's not forget, I just turned 50, so I'm going to be there at some point. I mean, well, I'm not actually going to be there because, you know, wife. So probably not a good idea. Okay. Can't tell a joke for my life. All right, exercise classes for residents. Free classes at the Suffern Community Center, including chair yoga, chair exercise, and Stay Fit sessions starting on January 12th, ladies and gentlemen. That's tomorrow. No, that's today. So go get them chair yoga and chair exercises and Stay Fit sessions. It's amazing. By the way, back over at the Lafayette Theater, the 40th anniversary screening of Labyrinth ran over the weekend, January 9th through 11th. And that's pretty amazing because Labyrinth was, 40 years ago, it was groundbreaking. Pretty amazing. Wish I knew about that before the weekend. What else? Rockland County, Jay Hood Jr. has been reelected chairman of the Rockland County Legislature once again, marking his 5th consecutive term in the role. At the annual organizational meeting held on January 8th, Annie Paul was reelected vice chairwoman for the 7th term, and Phil Soskin was named 2nd vice chairman. The legislature also welcomed Moshe Hopstein, who was sworn in after being elected to fill the seat vacated by Aaron B. Weeder. And if I recall correctly, Aaron has been elected to a different position. I don't have that information in front of me, but Moshe Hopstein took over the seat vacated by Aaron B. Weeder. Key achievements from the 2025 agenda included no increase in county property taxes, a $2 million emergency fund for local food pantries, a $2.6 million boost for nonprofits, and continued investment in the HALO housing program. The legislature also advanced the $30 million Complete Streets initiative and expanded benefits for volunteer responders under the newly named Jared Lloyd Act. Rockland County District Attorney Thomas E. Walsh announced the completion of the 13th grand jury term of 2025, which ran from December 12th to January 8th. And again, the term resulted in 10 indictments involving serious charges such as, unfortunately, rape, weapons possession, burglary, and DWI-related offenses. Among those indicted were Marco Werchin Leon for a felony DWI and unlicensed operation, and Andre Bernard facing multiple counts of first-degree rape and burglary. In a separate case, Angel Mendoza Raimundo of Suffern pled guilty to vehicular manslaughter in the second degree and DWI for a fatal crash in August of 2025 that killed a 73-year-old pedestrian. He is scheduled to be sentenced April 8th on 2026 and faces a term of 2 1/3 to 7 years in state prison. District Attorney Walsh reaffirmed his office's commitment to justice, but noted that indictments are merely accusations and all defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty. A new law co-sponsored by Senator James Skoufis and Assemblymember Al Stirpe marks a major win for restaurants and taverns across New York. Signed into law this week, the Retail-to-Retail bill allows bars and restaurants to purchase up to 6 bottles of liquor or wine per week directly from local liquor stores, instead of waiting for distributor deliveries. The legislation aims to reduce costly surcharges and give small businesses more flexibility during high-demand periods. The new rule takes effect March 5th of 2026. And that is all for our Rockland News week ahead. One more note, just to give you the weather real quick. Today, Monday, was approximately 45 degrees. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it's going to be cloudy, rainy, and possibly snowy. 45, 47, and 38 degrees. Friday and Saturday looking better with a high of 41 degrees and partially cloudy. But Sunday, we might get some snow flurries with 33 degrees down. All right, let's thank our sponsors for today's Rockland News podcast and live stream. First of all, thank you, Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, Easy Temp located in Hackensack, New Jersey, Kobe Sushi, Jazz Music Lounge, music on Wednesdays and Saturdays over at Kobe in New City, Susan Bover, Coldwell Banker Realty, Lauren Molino Muller, Howard Hanna Rand Realty, Whole Shot Bagels, 99 Signs, FC Perfection, Clean Space Maintenance Management Company, Rockland Music Fest, and our newest sponsor, the New York Boulders baseball team. I'm your host, Tom Osa. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch up with you next time. Take care for now.